Good morning.
Hey, good morning, GM.
Here, but give me 1 second.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Hello? Can you
I
guys
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Yes.
Oh, something's wrong. I'll be back.
We'll see if I can make it through an entire AMA without yelling. How's my volume sound, everybody?
Sounds crystal clear.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's good.
I'll try not to get overly excited. No promises, though.
Did you like my great pumpkin idea? I'm not going to let it go.
It's pretty cool. If it kept getting bigger and bigger in the center of the town, that would be fun to watch.
Yeah. And once it gets too big, it explodes and little versions of the devs run around the town and do whatever.
That would be fun. We're just waiting for Musashi to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just came back.
Nice.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
I can hear.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you before. Okay, so hey guys, welcome. Happy Friday. Let's see what's going on. So let's see who's coming into this. Hey, this Zoro Gala. Is that something from Gala? Zoro Gala? That's the rod, of course. It is next. Eves 715. Welcome, guys. Kenny Pre. What's Mark Wayne? Hey, Mark Wayne. How's everyone?
I'm fantastic.
That's great. Who else is here? Daniel Drewitz. Drewitz. Sorry if I'm butchering that. Sick Lazy Lumberjack. Hey, guys. Well, Gent, of course. I've seen that guy before. El Jefe. Hey, El Jefe. El Jefe is, of course, our newest PM.
Is he here on the AMA today?
I don't think so. I think he just likes to hear what we're saying. So we should get started. Well, welcome to the June 30th AMA. You know, we've been doing this weekly AMA since July last year. We meet to share what's going on with everyone, what's going on with the game, answer questions, and share news. As Sage usually says, we like to walk the talk. So yeah, let's get started. So Farmer Mikel, can you tell me what's the first thing in the agenda?
The first headline we're going to head at today is an update on competition and Mayhem rewards. What kind of stuff's been sent out, and if there's any ETAs on anything that's not been sent. Probably Que Sera.
Que será? You're there.
I know that.
Hey, happy Friday, everybody. So let's talk about the rewards. I think the last time we sent out the achievement reward was until 16th of June. We've sent out over 15 million Gala so far in just achievement and referral rewards. The next installment of achievement rewards should be next week sometime. Apart from that, there were two things pending earlier. One was the extra rewards for some new towns in April, and the other thing was some pending loyalty rewards. The extra rewards are ready. They should go out any minute now. And you can expect the pending loyalty rewards sometime next week. I think that's about all I have.
Awesome. That is great news. In terms of earnings, I'd like to reiterate that this last competition this week that we canceled will not count for achievement number 4, 5, or 6 because there were no ranks at the end of it, but it will still count for achievements 1, 2, and 3 for any new players who started this week and got those achievements. I think the next thing we're talking about, it's to remind everybody that the town burn to Gala is ending mid-September, September 15th. So if you have not done it yet, then definitely get on that. If you need help, send me a DM. I will gladly point you in the correct direction. You can also always put in a ticket, worst case scenario. But reach out and I'll help you if you need help and get it done. And I think now we're moving on to talk about the chandelier earrings competition that ran this week and what happened with that.
Yeah, I can talk about that. So first thing I want to say thank you to the community for testing Fast Forward. That was our big release before the competition. We pushed that out Friday, end of the day. We wanted you guys to help us test because, of course, you're way more than we are, and we can do a lot of we can put a lot of stress in the system. So the short of it, well, Vulcan is gonna tell us more later, but fast forwarding is working great, but it came with a couple of issues that were causing the problems in the leaderboard. So since we could not assure what the correct leaderboards were for certain people, we just took the decision to cancel the competition or just let it continue to the end but not reward it and repeat it next week. So we're going to have bracelet competition next week. That's going to be delayed 1 week. So next week we're going to do a repeat of the chandelier earrings competition. We're going to change the starter town. I don't know, Farmer, you have announced that change already?
Not the full details, but I can in a minute. Let me just post a full announcement about it.
Yeah, of course. So we have a pretty interesting starter town. I think it's a big change compared to the previous starter town. So that's pretty cool, especially for the meta of chandelier earrings and medals. Of course, we'll do a little compensation for everyone for their travels. We'll have a little NFT for everyone who participated up to a certain point. We already have the list of participants, people who got into the event. And that's going to give you, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a 5% boost.
That is
Farmer
correct.
Michelle?
Yep, to all cash that you get from your sales in your game while it's placed.
Got it. So everyone will get one of those. That's like I'm sorry from the team, and also thank you for testing fast forwarding. It's really helped us find the issues with it, and we're quickly fixing them. We're hoping to have some fixes before the next competition starts, so we can avoid this in the future. And for people who bought the items this week, there's also a compensation that I think already been announced. We pull those items from the store, and they'll get an extra copy or something like that. So that's basically what we're doing. So we're moving the whole schedule 1 week. We have that repeat with some changes to the starter town, and then we'll keep going with the bracelet competition and so on. So that's kind of the information on the cancellation of the chandelier earrings competition. Farmer Michelle?
Yeah, let me scroll back up. What are we moving on to now? Looks like a social media update. We got a social media update.
Yeah, just a quick one. Hey guys, happy Friday. Pretty much just wanted to give like a little bit of a quick update that, we've been climbing in the right direction with followers so far. We're about to crack 17K, it looks like. So that's pretty exciting on Twitter. If you haven't checked out the Instagram too, be sure to check it out when you can. We've been, gaining some traction on there as well. And also some pretty exciting news to add to this. But we also had our first decrypt feature in their newsletter on decrypt.gg in a while. We were talking about fast forward and all the exciting stuff about fast forward. So yeah, just a quick little update about that. But yeah, back to you, Michelle.
Awesome. Thank you for the update. It's so nice to see our Twitter followers coming up. It's exciting. Looks like we're moving on to game updates. Talk about what all went into the game this week.
Yeah, I can talk about that too. So, thank you, Farmer Michelle. As you may have noticed, since last AMA, well, we did 2 updates that day after the AMA, but the things that went in is a bunch of buildings, units, and crafts regarding the new storyline about metals that you have already experienced in Chandelier. So crafts like copper, copper wire, jump rings, silver ore, and so on. Of course, Chandelier earrings, buildings like the forge, wire mill, jewelry crafting table, copper pan side, and so on, ore storage, and so on. The competition itself, we did 2, right? We did a test over the weekend. Sadly, we didn't get enough information about the problem with fast forward throughout that test competition and the actual competition. Plus, we fixed a couple things like remove edge requirements for the gasoline refineries. And let me see what else. The big trough. I know that some people were complaining about the big trough. It wasn't like fully open like the normal trough, so it is now. And we changed some speeds, some units, the Euler specifically. And we had an issue with the fast forward button that couldn't be turned off. We fixed that pretty early in the week. And we also added the uncommon glinting Sabine's ghost card and the glinting Pinoy's ghost card, plus the items from this, the sale items from this week, the epic and rare arcane earrings, and the Trinity gem works. So huge updates since last Friday. And of course, the main one was fast forwarding. We added fast forwarding. As you know, some issues arose. That's why we have the compensation and the change of plans for the competitions. But we are fixing them. I think we have a couple of fixes already in the pipeline. But in general, we're really happy with how it came out. Fast forward, it's pretty good. Like it's actually working, and Vulcan will give you more information on that soon. So that's what went into the game this week. A bunch of fixes and a bunch of additions. Farmer Mitchell?
Oh, looks like we're moving on to what's coming up next.
Got it. So that's me again. Unless there's someone else here. No, but okay. So first thing is that I'm fast tracking a good amount of fixes that we wanna make to the game. So bug fixes, NFT functionality that's missing. One of the main priorities is fireworks. So I actually just had a meeting where we asked one of the developers to finally put the nail in that coffin for fireworks and try to get it out the door. Especially since next week is 4th of July, I would really like to have that in the game as soon as possible. So that's one thing that we're working on. I know that we have fishing meta buildings that we want to put in the game, so I'm trying to get that done too. And regarding future features, well, we have time of day. That's gonna go out I'm guessing the next days. It's looking really good. It makes the game really come alive. And yeah, we're testing that. We have phases like early morning, midday, afternoon, and then night, and it looks great. Probably you guys won't see much of that if you're doing a lot of fast forwarding, but I think that will make a better impression on new players specifically. So we want to target new players soon, which ties into the next thing we're working on, which is mobile, right? So our aim has always been to bring Townstar to native apps in Android and iOS. We know that there's a lot of people, especially now with fast forward, that could play in their phones and like log in, go into the town competition or a casual game, do a couple clicks, set up some buildings, move a little forward, and then just leave, right, and come back a couple hours later and keep working their towns. That wasn't possible without fast forward, because who's gonna have their phone in Townstar for 24 hours or more? So fast forward was the first step towards that, and our next step is supporting mobile browser support. So we want to get to native apps, but first we're working on making the game work in your Safari or Chrome in your phone and stuff like that. So that's something that we're very invested in as a company in general, not just as Townstar, but Gala wants to get a lot of their projects and products into mobile. Now I have an update on daily challenges. The main update is that we've been working on the Townstar Live, or the Townstar Legacy format, which was daily challenges, and there's a distribution that happens every day, and we had a tokenomics plan for it that we've discussed before. We've been having some discussions with Bitbender and other people in the company about Spider Tanks. So I don't know if you guys have checked out Spider Tanks. But Spider Tanks has an interesting tokenomics model, emission model, play to earn, using Silk and a couple other things. So, and it's been very successful in attracting people and having people play, improve their tanks, and earn. So what we're doing is taking a little pause. We need to check out the model, their data, what is working, what is not working, and see how that applies to our game to make it better and give you better output for how earnings work. So if you want to see what that's gonna be like, try out Spider Tank, see how it works. It's a very interesting system with their Silk and their upgrades. So we're gonna capitalize on that and make something better than even better than we had in Townstar Legacy. So that's our little update on daily challenges. So yeah, that's what's coming up next, like immediately next for the game. Some other things that I wanted to mention is that with our latest updates, you had disconnects and errors before. When we did our fast forward update, we also added a bunch of fixes to disconnects and problems like that. And we're seeing Volker can confirm, but we have reduced our errors and drops for about 99%, something like that. So which means our the game is very stable right now. Apart from fast forward and the issues that we're fixing, we're able to reduce that by a lot. So that's great. That means that people that are coming into the game won't experience a bunch of spinning T's and disconnects. So that's pretty good. So what's going up next, Michelle?
I think we're moving on to some Q&A from the question form. The first question I have here says, can you talk about the status of fixing some key NFTs such as the Haunted Zones and the Malta NFT, which is the Galaverse Malta one, in case anyone doesn't know?
Right. So, yeah, what I'm doing right now, as I mentioned before, is that we're trying to put in the pipeline and prioritize a bunch of fixes. So we have the Malta one, has some issues with the size of it and where you can place it. The fireworks, of course, are still working. The main issue with fireworks is the starting cash boost, right? So, and the Haunted Mazes have a couple of issues, especially number 3. So we're trying to get those in the pipeline right now and prioritize them alongside the regular things that we're doing, like mobile support and stuff like that. So I'm expecting to have continuous fixes for the NFTs that are missing and additions for the regular buildings and units and crafts that are missing, like, for example, from the fishing content. So yeah, working on fixing those things now that we have released fast forward and it's pretty stable.
Awesome. That was good news. The next question I have here says, are you looking at the storage ingress egress delay issue? I think that's for the NFT storages. A lot of people are noticing that when units are walking into their NFT storages, that it's a tiny bit slower, but over time that adds up. Is Volcron here?
Oh, he's not authorized.
Well, everyone's a listener.
No, I think that Ninja Surprise needs to accept his request.
Yeah, go on.
Hey guys, thanks for that. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Yeah, so that storage issue, we did find the problem. We'll be fixing that ASAP. pretty annoying to see that in there. And then in addition to the fix, we're also improving our tooling so that we can catch these kind of problems earlier. So apologies for those of you with the Supreme Storehouse that saw that. Yeah, we did find the fix, and thank you for repeatedly sharing with us that it was a problem. So thanks, guys. That is fixed. And I don't know the exact date it's going out, but it's very easy to test and all that. So we'll let you know when it goes live.
Well, that is fantastic news.
I think so. We're always looking to improve our tooling.
So that's interesting, right? Because we had this is where the help of the community comes into place. We have testers, of course, but you guys are really hardcore and really love the game. So we saw someone saying, "Hey, I got a 0.012 second delay on this storage compared to this other thing," and I'm like, "Wow, that sounds like very specific." And the person was like, "You guys were right. Like we were checking and like we did find the issue, but it's as you can see, like clocking 0.012 is really hard to do unless it compounds." So that's thanks to you guys for asking us to keep digging until we finally found the issue. So of course, thanks to the community for that.
Yeah, there's some questions like, "Hey, you only mentioned the Supreme Storehouse. Like, what about the rest of them?" Yes, for the rest of them too. Let's see, Jetty, what's the fix though? Did you modify how in-game storages work or the NFT ones? Yeah, well, I don't want to get into the guts of the game, but yeah, it was a combination of how the data is stored and then how it's verified. So we've improved our tooling to catch that sort of error a little better. And that's all I really want to say about that.
Awesome. It looks like we're moving on to chat about fast forward a bit, unless we want to take some live questions, or if we want to wait till the end to do live questions. Or I do see that Sage is here. I don't know if he wants to speak at all.
I'm happy to speak about whatever, you know. I'm just catching up on opening the docs and the
Beautiful. Well, let's let Volcron talk a little bit more about fast forward and how that all works.
Yeah. Well, we did the we did the thing, right? We deployed on a Friday at the close of business day. That's how confident we were on the feature. Also, how willing we were to, or at least I was, to come in on the weekend and fix it if there were problems. And we were more than pleasantly surprised with how it went. Our it went out at the same time that our game engine fixes went out. The game engine, we're using Godot. The fixes we made to the engine reduced our live errors. I think Sasha already said this, reduced our production server errors by like 99%, which is great. Some pathfinding issues, some memory usage issues. That went completely perfectly, actually, which I say that word about once every 20 years. So there you have it. As far as the fast forward, of course, everybody's like, "Oh, well, there's questions like, well, if it went so great, then, why'd you turn it off for the competition? And, it doesn't sound like it went great to me or whatever." Let me talk a little bit about the difference between how the feature looks from a dev's point of view versus what hit the player base. So as we're testing it and running it locally and running it in all of our QA and dev environments and all that, we're looking for things like, did this feature interfere with other players? Did it crash? Right. So did it inadvertently not run the workers? Did it, have any other problems? So we worked on that for weeks and weeks and weeks, fixing all these edge cases, things where it would, like, while it was fast forwarding, it would also query your inventory, to make sure you had those NFTs. Well, it only has to do that when it starts, right? So if you launch the game and you had an NFT a day ago, and now it's going to fast forward, before it does that, it's going to say like, "Hey, do you still have this NFT?" But it doesn't need to do that every game loop, right? So there's certain things that we had to fix and all that. So when it went live, we were looking for, where did we mess up the game logic? Where where was maybe CPU too high and it could impact other players' experiences or things like that. All that went awesome. And in terms of fast forwarding, like, here is our town state, fast forward 1 hour. I think the meme a week or two ago was the SpongeBob 5 hours later. All that went exactly as planned, which is great. And then the player experience, or at least what I had, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it allowed me to leave my house and not keep an eye on my game. So, for example, I went to the grocery store and did stuff, whatever, and I was like, "Oh shoot, I wonder how my my town is doing," because I was just starting out selling flour or whatever. And then I loaded it up in the parking lot of the grocery store. I looked at my town and I saw like, oh, and I was doing candy canes at that point. Don't ask. It's just I like candy canes. So I was looking at that. I was like, oh shoot, I'm making too many peppermint and it's flooding all my storages, and so I'm not making candy canes now. So from the parking lot, I was able to get rid of a couple of those peppermint fields, flush my storages, close the browser, and then when I got home, my town had made another 2 million or so points, dollars while I was offline. That's really awesome. And like Musashi touched on, that's what unlocks our ability to play mobile. Nobody's going to leave, probably nobody's going to leave their phone open for 12 hours straight, with the game in the foreground. So this was a major, major important piece to unlocking mobile. So that's great, right? The other thing that some of the players found out that was awesome was like, some questions last Friday were like, hey, wait, does this mean I can get my competition town running, go back to the menu, and then experiment in casual, and when I come back to competition, it'll be fast forwarded? That's true. That's a use case, right? So that's awesome. So now you don't have to have, pick one or the other. I talked about the errors going down to 0. That was great. And then a little bit of data about just how all the internal systems and the game logic held up really well. Now, one thing that was a surprise to me, and maybe not a surprise to our cynical players, but once we hit real, let's say 10 players on a server, all with very complex towns, end game towns, right? You're just completely full of buildings, you're producing stuff, hundreds of sales or harvest events per minute. When all of that is happening, 10 players at once, and one guy comes in to get fast forwarded, it is slower than we expected. And that was pretty disappointing, to be honest. Like seeing the expected time it took, the estimations were like, I think it was like 1 second per 3 to 4 hours of offline time. In reality, it's something like, currently, as you guys probably saw, it's something like 1 minute of fast forward time per 6 hours of offline time. And that's way too much, right? Like nobody's going to wait like 5 minutes for your town to load. Well, maybe I did, but that's not where we want it to be. So obviously we have to optimize that. And then the behavior that came out of that was that people would be looking at that screen, the Townstar logo, while it's fast forwarding. You don't know that there's like 4 minutes left in the fast forward. Like I have the advantage of, I'm looking at the server logs, the CPU, all that, but you guys can't see that. So you're probably going to be like, I don't know, is the game frozen? Like what's going on here? So refresh it. Jetty says 5 minutes, not much. If it works right, we don't mind. Sure, right. Yeah. So if you had some kind of spinner or something saying, loading your town state, loading your inventory, fast forwarding your town, ETA 5 minutes or something like that. But ideally, it would be much faster. So we're looking into that. And there was an edge case, and this affected the competition, as you guys found. Yeah, no spinning. Sorry, you're traumatized. Sorry, guys, not the spinning tea, something else. But yeah, the screenshots that were coming in were like, oh my gosh, here's all these people with all these stars. How's this happening? Like, fast forward must be borked or whatever. The accounts that I looked at, those were not the ones that I personally looked at. Were not cheaters. I think what was happening was people were legitimately just refreshing the town, and there was a disconnect between the stars that you saw on the leaderboard and your actual town state. Now, the good news is, fast forward, you're only going to save once. Let's say you spun up 100 browsers, and you're like, haha, I know fast forward takes forever, so I'm going to fast forward 100x, whatever. Well, at the end of all that is the one that actually gets saved. So it's not like you're going to get 100x the cache or anything. So that part of it worked super well, but the stars disconnect is something we're looking at immediately. If you disconnect during the fast forward event, things like that, all these edge cases, all these bug fixes. So yeah, so that was a good learning experience for us. And we're going to take some of the top 20, best towns here, the ones that are super busy, and we're going to use these in part of our load testing here. Let's see, you talked about being slower, some of the fixes, and yeah, I think that's about it for. It's been a busy week with fast forward. So, any other live questions about that one?
I don't see any questions about fast forward. I see a lot of people asking me about all of their pending transactions that are awaiting fulfillment. That's not really something that the Townstar team engineers have anything to do with, guys. You can reach out to customer support. I've also seen some people say that they click on it and increase the gas, it'll go right through. If you have been waiting a super long time and haven't heard from support, feel free to DM me your ticket number, and I will try to get an update for you. All the updates are going to be the same because it's the same issue from a couple of weeks ago. I think where ETH gas was just super volatile and a bunch of transactions got stuck and they're just still stuck. I know that there are platform engineers looking into it, but I do not have an ETA from that team, but I will definitely reach out and I'll try to make an announcement early next week as soon as I find out what's going on with that. Are there any live questions about fast forward?
Well, there were some comments about offline fast forwarding, like keeping the leaderboard up to date. And we've talked about this before. I know, Vulcan, if you want to touch on this a little bit, but we've said that right now the towns update when you guys come in, and it triggers the update. But the next step that we're going to get to is having some way of the towns be updated regularly, so that the wait is lower and we have more updated leaderboards sooner.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's an important part, the offline processing of that. And that would also help balance out the idea that, the fast forward takes a while, because we would have the process that in the background when the player's definitely not playing, to fast forward their town for them. So next time they log in, it'll be much quicker. The side effect of that is, the benefit there is that the leaderboard gets updated more than just when your player logs in.
I think the next section we do have here is leaks, if we want to move on to that, or we can keep taking questions. I think there was another live question here in Dash's post, which I know we talked about, I think 3 weeks ago. It was when multiple choices for maps in competition.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
When will there be multiple choices for like biomes when you enter the competition?
So that's one of my favorite features. Not yet. We're concentrating on, as we said before, we're checking out the spider text model for daily challenges, see how we can improve our model. So some people are asking, are we on track for mid-July? The answer is no. At this point, we have paused that process, and we're taking a look at the data for spider text to check that out. And our priority right now is mobile, right? So we're working on mobile to try to reach more people. And after that, I would really love to get the different biomes. We have an idea we've discussed before on how to randomize that a little bit, but right now we're going to the same town. And we're trying to make those towns interesting. So you'll see in next week's competition that it's actually a new town that you've never seen before with metal buildings in it. So I think it's going to be really cool.
Do we have any other questions aside from earnings? I think Sage was going to talk a bit about earnings.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think Pablo has said some stuff already. We're still looking at it, guys. I think, everybody, I was excited when we were getting ready to turn it on and get the final tokenomics model updated. But we got some new information, and we're looking at doing another revamp on it. And I know everybody's snarky and can get crabby about it and say, "You promised it's coming in 3 to 4 weeks." Hey, but wouldn't you rather have a better earnings model? Wouldn't you rather have something that's a little more balanced, a little more, I don't know what, something that you guys would be more excited about? That is the plan that I'm working on. And I mentioned working out with Bitbender. We're also looking at the Spider Tanks team. If you guys haven't checked in on that, go check what's happening there. You can see some really exciting things for players there. And yes, we're working on it. What new information? How is it better? Moise, yeah, it's going to be boost the earnings, right? That's what I'm looking to do, right? And we'll see if we see what we can work out. But what won't help is just being continually pestered and bothered and snarked about it. That doesn't really help us. If you have ideas, share it. If you play Spider Tanks, want to give some feedback, that's helpful. So let's go ahead and move on that direction. And I think whoever keeps posting that note, Will, I saw that. I guess Dasher posting, yeah. So cross off number 1. It's answered. So let's let's look at art. I've got a really big art update I want to share with you guys right now. Should we do that?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I'd
Okay.
love to see it.
Here
Yeah.
it is. Here it is. It's really big, really, really big. Here we go. You see that? It's a big shrimp. It's a big shrimp. All right. Just playing with you guys, right? Gotta have fun. You see that shrimp? Yeah. Okay. Anyways, no, I do have some more stuff that I'm going to share in there. And while I'm loading up some of these pictures here, uh, you're going to get to see, you know what happens sometimes. The labels on some of this art isn't exactly updated, but here's a couple here. I'll just fire those up. Where besides moving through buildings, we're also now moving into characters. And you might be looking like, oh, characters, what's so hard about characters? Well, we want to add expressiveness to the face. We want to have characters be recognizable in the game from what they were before, and see if we can upgrade. But you got to remember, like when you're looking at the characters there and you're seeing their expressions and everything, those things are gonna be really, really tiny on the screen. And so one of the challenges I put to the art team is, how do you make their expression show up even when they're that tiny? And on the other side, for everybody's performance, really interested in performance and making sure that we don't blow up performance by adding a bunch more expensive art. I said I don't want to have a lot of facial features inside on the characters where you can't see it, because that's just a waste when we're rendering polys that are so small. It doesn't matter. It just sucks performance away. So, is there not better things to waste your time on? I'm not sure what you're saying, Freestyle. But yeah, there's the art there. So we're continuing to work on that. As we've talked about before, getting more art into the game. Why does all the art make me feel it's not for Townstar? It's more for your new version of Farmville. I don't know what you're talking about, Madness. New version of Farmville. Interesting. Wow, feels like I know I was late to the meeting today, but it feels like there is a lot of is there a lot of snark going on today, guys? Just relax. It's all cool. But yeah, we are upgrading the art quality, the content, the depth, the number of polys and everything to bring better art visuals to everybody in the game. And when we'll come out, we're still working on that art. As we mentioned last week, our art team, this MA might just lose most of your community. Wow. Okay. Sorry, guys, if we're kind of disappointing everybody as with all the hard work that the team's doing. But anyways, back to the art. Yeah, we're still figuring out when we can get that into players' hands, and the way to do that, we want to make it meaningful and get into the game, have it be well tested. so that we can actually have, you guys can get in, drop in, and it works. So that's all I have about art today. Pablo and Michelle, I'll let you guys take it from here.
Thanks, H.
I think we're moving on to other leaks. What do we have for other leaks? We've got an announcement on what the ghost card will be for the chandelier earring competition starting next week. I don't know if Case Rouse wants to talk about it or if you want me to talk about it.
I think you can do it, Michelle.
I can do it. It's going to be the copper panning site ghost card. So that is going to work the same as all the other ones with the percentage. I don't have the exact percentages in front of me right now, but I could probably find them if someone needs them. So that will boost the speed of the copper panning site. That'll again be for this repeat of the chandelier earrings competition that starts on the 4th of July. I don't know if we've got any art assets to drop for it. If we do, hopefully someone will drop them right in the chat. I already announced what the biome will be for the next competition. It's right up there in Townstar announcements now. So it's going to be a forest north. It's going to have an oil seep in it. 3 of the sides are going to be desert, and the west side is going to be river. So really the only big change from the one that we had this previous week is that there's one less river, and it's a forest now. The other thing that we changed this week is that we altered the actual things that start on the starting map, which is super cool, and I was really excited to do it for the first time. So we've switched the farmer over to a panner. We've switched those 2 wheat fields that normally start on the town over to copper panning sites, and we've switched the silo to an ore storage, which will have 10 copper ore in it right at the beginning of the competition, so that everybody can get right going into metals and not have to worry about, why do I have this wheat in the silo that I don't need, that doesn't relate to this meta. It was awesome to play around with the stuff that was on the starter town.
So has that been done before? Any of the competitions?
No.
Like change all of the starting elements?
Nope, this was our first time.
Okay, so to reiterate, this town is not coming with a farmer house, 2 wheat, and silo, right? It's coming with a panel house, 2 copper sites, and an ore storage, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. Let's kind of make it a little more interesting. We wanted to switch it up a little bit since it's a bit of this week's competition. And thank you, Farmer Michelle. So we'll be pushing that new competition out and the starter town today in a couple hours. So you'll be able to play with that in casual mode in preparation for next week.
What else do we have for leaks here? We've got the June NFT for playing, which I believe we've already announced, but in case anyone has forgotten, that will be the copper ore storage. So anybody who's played 10 days, and I forget what the exact requirements are, 10 days in June will get the common ore storage, copper ore storage. Anyone who's run their node for 10 days for 6 hours a day will get the uncommon copper ore storage, and then anybody who's played 25 of the days in the month and completed, I think, 75 trades will get the rare copper ore storage. Those requirements will be the same for July as far as I know. If there are any changes, we will make sure to let you know before July starts, so I will find out very soon. But the July... Sorry.
And what do we have for July? Do we have a retention NFT for July set up?
Yeah, it's going to be the silver ore storage. So it'll be the copper ore storage this month and then silver ore storage next month.
That's right. That's awesome. So copper ore storage for June, that will roll out at some point very soon. And then July retention NFT will be silver ore storage. That's great.
I think that's all that I have for leaks here.
So people were asking if there's going to be a sale this week. ¿Qué será? Do you have information on that? Are you here? Oh, I don't think he must have dropped. So the answer to that is no. So we're not having a sale next week. We're repeating the current competition, and we're having changed the starter town as we mentioned before. You'll be able to play with that in a couple of hours. We're not having an extra sale next week, so that's important to note. And we have compensation for the for the problems with the current competition. So just to reiterate, there's going to be an NFT that gives you 5% cash boost, and that will be delivered to everyone in the competition. Up to a certain point. That means that we took a list yesterday and said, well, these are the people who were affected by this. So no new people entering will get that reward. So everyone gets that NFT. And people who bought items this week will get an extra copy, if I'm not mistaken. Kesera and Michelle will post that information again, just to reiterate. So, yeah. So very quickly, repeat competition, no sale, compensation items for this week's mix-up. And just a reminder, so we are trying to get fireworks done for the 4th of July. That would be great. Those packs are still in the store. So I will let you guys know when we have the fireworks ready to go. And a couple other notes, both the Rare and the Epic gasoline refinery got a little boost. We removed the etch requirements from them. So both of them increased their usefulness by a lot. So if you want to check those out, we still have a few of them in the store. But again, no new sales next week. Okay, Farmer Michelle, what's next?
All we got left is if there's any live questions. It's like we've got, I don't know, 12 minutes or so. So why don't you, out there in the community, if you have any live questions, drop them in the chat. Will the compensation item be 1/4 tile size? I don't know what the plan is for the size of that. Musashi, do you know? Is it going to be a full tile, or is it going to be smaller than a tile?
So I don't think we have defined that completely, but that's something pretty interesting that we want to work with soon. As you can see, and that's a great question, because you can see in the decorations, we have a very small amount of decorations in the store, in the in-game store. We can have pretty much any size, so small 1x1 or the regular 4x4, which is the normal size for the buildings, 2x2. Even we can have elongated ones like 1x2 or more. So we do want to start checking that out for the NFTs that are coming up. So what do you guys think? Would you be interested in smaller NFTs? Or bigger NFTs, maybe NFTs that where you could fit one building, you could fit 4 or more. Is that something that's interesting to you guys? Please let us know in the comments so that we can take that up and maybe create some of those. But that's an interesting question for the compensation one. We'll definitely take into account. Anything else, Farmer Michelle? Let's see, logger condos. You're saying 1/4. If we can put a 10 storage on 1/4 tile, we could get 4 of them. They would be useful. Okay. The earrings is 1/4, if I'm not mistaken, right? So that's great. Some people want to make the Malta one smaller. So we're taking Malta one. We know that it's a big one and it has a couple bucks, so we're taking a look at that. One option is to decrease its size, but hopefully won't have to get there. And yeah, I see that a lot of people are interested in smaller size. Decorations and booths should be 1/4. Okay. So it seems like people want maybe logger condos or banner condos or something. You may be in for a treat, down the line. Any other questions, Farmer Mitchell?
I'm not seeing any new questions. I'm seeing people asking the same questions that we've already answered in the last 45 minutes. I see somebody asking about the Foundry. The Foundry will be in the game after the end of this event. It'll be in the next competition, which was in an announcement already once today. Oh, yesterday. Let's see what other. I see there's a question that says maybe fix the other broken NFTs first, which we did also already talk about earlier in the AMA. We gave a list of the ones that are priority and some ETAs on fixing them, like the speed walking into NFT storages and the fireworks making it into the game. We talked about that already. The Malta one as well. If you need to hear that information again, you can go right on back and re-listen to this AMA. We don't need to repeat ourselves. What other questions we got here? I see a question about the team competition, which is still on me, and I will work on getting that done as fast as I possibly can.
See, Moise asking, can the mazes be updated to be 1/4? So usually we don't want to change the size or the conditions for previous NFTs that we delivered to you guys, but we're very interested in making those changes coming forward. You know? But yeah, definitely taking a look at that. So that's cool. Anything else?
I see somebody asking about the trade bot again. I also already talked about this once today, though it was in chat, not in words. The trade bot, we're not going to work on making a design for it and like planning for it until crafting on Gala Chain is done. Because if we wait until crafting is ready and you can craft the NFT and then the NFT actually exists, we may be further along into more features, and it'll be a bigger design space at that point, and we can do even cooler stuff the longer we wait to make that decision, because the game will have more in it at that point. So there's really, it would only do you guys a disservice if we decided on a utility now when we could wait until it's ready and make that decision later on. There'll be much more design space available whenever crafting starts. So that's the plan for that. I see other questions about the leaderboard also being updated. When people's towns are offline, we don't have a way currently to get those numbers, which Volcron also talked about earlier. So, currently the leaderboard only updates when people log back in and get online. We have talked about maybe using nodes and all of that for that. So, there are plans in the works, but for now, the leaderboard will only update when players who are offline log back in to get online. Any other live questions?
I think I see repeats of some of the questions. The Sora Gala in Townstar, who's in charge of responding non-technical questions about the project game. You can ask in Discord. Farmer Michelle collects a lot of information for the team. Usually we answer questions in this AMA in a Q&A section. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you can always put questions in the AMA form as well. There's always an AMA form link in the actual Discord event. If you click on the Discord event, it has the Twitter space link and then the AMA question form link, so you can submit questions right there.
Got it. So, well, Baron, any new questions? I think that that's a wrap for us, guys. Remember that you can keep asking for challenges in the form. Reporting bugs, that's super useful to us. We'll be taking a look at all the information we got. And friendly reminder, just to make sure, because people keep asking in some instances, a repeat of the current competition next week. No sale, compensation for people affected in the competition, and a separate compensation for people affected that bought the items in the store. And pushing out that new shiny starter town with the metal meta in a few hours for you to check out in casual mode. And with that, thank you so much, guys, for coming. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Thank you,
so much.
Voltron. Thank you,
Bye,
Safe.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for
Thank
joining
you,
us
Ninja
today.
Surprise.
Yeah,
Great
thanks
week.
everybody. Goodbye. Have a good weekend.
Bye bye.